All right, welcome everyone. I am so excited to be here. I want to thank everyone for making the trip out. I know in-person conferences are still a little bit rare. We're all still adjusting back to it, so I appreciate everyone making the trip out. We're so excited to have you here today. We've got some great content, great speakers lined up for you. Before I get into some of that, a couple housekeeping items. The Wi-Fi, if you didn't see it when you came in, network is Rise 8, and the password up here. And there's a QR code for Slack, also a link if that's easier, and that'll get you into the Slack channel for Prodacity Symposium. I want to take a quick minute to thank our sponsors. Crazy time, with everything that's been happening economics-wise. A lot of people are freezing their budgets across the board, including marketing. So it made it a fun time to plan a conference, but this group of folks really came through for us. They really care about this community. VMware, event sponsor, platinum level, huge thank you. If you don't know, a lot of people think of VMware as the VM company, but they made some really critical acquisitions a few years back, including Pivotal Labs, a consultancy that's responsible for a lot of the successful software factories that you see across the DoD and larger federal. So if you're not familiar with them, if you haven't talked to them, thought about them in your transformation journey, definitely reach out to them. I got Jeff Howard and a couple of folks from VMware back there. So if you want to talk to them during the break, say hi. Our experience sponsors, Clarity sponsoring a lunch today and breakfast tomorrow. We have Sagely, that's Adam Furtado. You'll hear from him later. Started a product company about enabling or illuminating your learning journey. They're your guide to growth, so really cool stuff. And by the way, on our website, there's links to all these companies if you want to check them out. Second Front Systems, hosting the breakfast that you saw this morning, as well as lunch tomorrow. And then Sneak, hosting the beverage station over there. We've been working with Sneak on our latest continuous ATO project. I'll talk a little bit about that later today, but really great company. Now, the goal for Prodacity 2022 this year, we really wanted to set a baseline for how to do DevOps in the federal government. And that includes achieving mission outcomes, right? Not just doing technology for technology's sake. We want attendees to be able to learn how to start, scale these digital transformations, and to be able to do it over and over again and continuously improve the next generation of government software organizations, and with the lessons learned from people who have done it so that you can do it better, faster, and cheaper. But what is DevOps really? This is one of my favorite definitions. This is from John E. Vincent. You may have seen this before. This is the only time I'm going to read a slide to you, I promise. He says, here's the secret. I'll tell you exactly what DevOps means. DevOps means giving a crap about your job enough not to pass the buck. It means giving a crap about your job enough to want to learn all the parts, not your little world. Developers need to understand infrastructure. Operators need to understand code. People just need to freaking work together and not just occupy space next to one another. And this message, it applies not just to dev and ops, and it's less about infrastructure people understanding code and coders understanding infrastructure. It's about understanding the transformation, because we're not just building products, we're also transforming a very large bureaucratic organization that involves a lot of change management. And so it's especially true here. I submit to you that whatever you thought you were before you came here, a developer, a designer, platform operator, a senior leader, first and foremost, you're actually a bureaucracy hacker. You might get lucky and be surrounded by enough of those people that you get to focus on your little world, but more than likely you don't. And if you don't focus on that, if you don't hack the bureaucracy, there won't be any individual contributing left to do before long. And so it's really important. This is a single track conference. Some folks ask me, why'd you do single track? There's like no split outs for developers and designers and platform people. And that's because I want you to learn more than just your little world. And I want you to think about how you can apply your skills to the rest of that world. If you're a designer and you're thinking, oh man, during that, procurement talk, I'm gonna do some prototypes over here in the corner. Where's James? James, I'm watching you. No, you're not gonna do that. What you're gonna do, this is my challenge to you, I want you to think about how you could apply service design to the procurement process. Much needed, by the way, and some great organizations like 18F have put together some playbooks, but there is still a ton of work to do in this space. So no matter what your role is, I want you to think during each talk about how you can contribute to the transformation. We're not just talking about products. We're talking about changing the way that government does software. And one thing, this is in your agenda, so if you ever want to refer back to it, Prodacity, and that's how it's pronounced, prod. It's all about prod. Prodacity is a willingness to take bold personal risks to ship outcomes to our customers in prod. That takes boldness, so we put out a call, and you all answered. We're trying to start a community of GovTech innovators and change agents who have that audacity to continuously deliver valuable software that users love in government, and doing it to prod. We want this community to be one that keeps it real about outcomes in prod. No theater. No reading our own press releases. There's a lot of that happening in the GovTech space right now, and it short circuits learning. It's a death spiral. You can't learn. That leads to bad builds, bad measurement, more bad learning. It's a death spiral. And you see it all around you. It sends programs just down the wrong track. And there's a lot of that happening today. And we need to turn that around into an upward spiral. And so we want to figure out how to learn fast. It's all about learning. How quickly can you learn? And you learn by shipping things to prod. You can buy down a lot of risk along the way, doing prototypes, mock-ups. There's a million things that we do to buy down risk. But the ultimate arbiter of truth, whether or not you mess that customer's mission outcomes, is prod. And so we have to get real about that. It also helps us grow a proper understanding at the leadership level. There's this great framework that Jason Frazier introduced me to years ago. Janice might talk about it later, I'm not sure. But it's called the UBAD framework, Understanding, Belief, Advocacy, Decisions. You have to get people to understand in a way that's appropriate for them to come up with the right beliefs. Those beliefs drive advocacy, and advocacy drives decisions. You need that in a transformation. Otherwise, their decision-making process becomes the ceiling on your growth, and you can't grow past it. And so it's a double-edged sword for us to be able to learn in prod. It helps us not only build our products better and our organization better, it also helps us transform better. And a couple quick things. We intentionally muted Rise 8 and Prodacity, and we want this community to be just that, a community going forward. But we did bring forward a couple elements, and I'm really into symbolism, so I just want to touch these quick. If you're not familiar where our name comes from the Japanese proverb, fall 7 times, stand up 8, which is about transformation, because if you fell 7 times, you would stand up 7, right? So it's about standing up greater than when you fell. And it's often shortened to fall 7, rise 8. That's where our name came from, but a little Easter egg, the forward slash that you see all around you is actually 78 degrees, symbolizing that fall 7, rise 8. And this conference took place on the 7th and 8th. I said I'm into symbolism. When that slash is drawn through something, it creates togetherness, pairing, one-to-one, things that are really important to us to help get through transformation. And so we carried that forward slash, kept it really simple with Prodacity. We want that to be a representation of us coming together, pairing as a community, something that we need to enable Prodacity. Prodacity is also one of our values. Whenever you see it, I want you to remember that you're not in this alone. You're not in this alone. You're going to fall down a lot in GovTech, a lot. And a thing that I say, I actually say this to myself on a regular basis, is Rise 8. I say it all the time. That's why I named the company Rise 8. Constantly throughout my journey in GovTech, fall down, and you feel like you're at 7, you feel like you're at 6. But you don't have to fight your way back to 7. You don't even have to stand up 7. You can actually stand up greater than when you fell. And so that's what we need to transform GovTech. You also need to pump each other's bunnies. I'll tell that story at happy hour, but a way that you can pump each other's bunnies is by reminding each other when you see somebody fall down to Rise 8. And last but not least, hopefully you saw this when you came in on the wall, but this is the final element. There's a lot going on here, a lot of symbolism. It's a classic 2-ship, my Air Force roots, and it also symbolizes a plane, which is kind of an MVP of sorts, casting a shadow of what's to come, a fighter jet, and that iteration process. It also is something that I'm really passionate about. In the Air Force, they like to hire airplane companies to build software, and one day I want them to hire us, a software company, to build airplanes. But it's also a perfect representation of our goal, which is this year, this inaugural year, as we're setting up this community, we really wanted to pair with you to establish this community, lead you going forward, and hopefully next year there'll be a whole community of us, much like an open source community. We'll stay the custodians, but we want a lot of contributors. So please, if you're interested, reach out, find out ways you can contribute to the community. That takes us to Prodacity.